Going to an interview, whether it's internal or external, you want to ensure that you ask questions not only that will leave a good impression on the hiring team, but also questions that are important to you. Let me explain. So last year I went on a trip and I knew that they had on-site testing, right? And you know we have to have testing within a certain time frame in order to come back to the US. And so I just assumed, since it was on site, that I could just walk into wherever it was in the place that I was staying. And so I called and said, hey, I'm coming down for the test. And it's like, okay, our next available appointment is the following Tuesday. Well, I was scheduled to leave the next day. So I'm like, oh no, that's not going to work. So long story short, I had to end up going to the hospital there. And I didn't have a passport because I didn't know I needed to bring it with me. And so it was like 2 hours of back and forth of me trying to get this taken care of. Luckily, I had a day before I was leaving. But my point is this: before you go into something, whether it's a job, whether it's a lateral move, a promotion, whatever it is, you want to be as prepared as possible. Now, we're not going to know everything. Even when you're traveling, you can do all the planning and itinerary and all this stuff. It's still going to be something that you miss. Same thing as a job. You can do all the research and all the things, but it's still going to be something there that you miss or you weren't aware of. But this is why it's important to, if 401k is important to you, how much do you match? When am I eligible to receive it? If the working model, is it hybrid? How many remote days do I get? Those things that are important to you, you definitely have the right to ask. And the reason I came up with this topic, I have a client who's on his second round of interviews and he said, what can I ask? And I'm like, you can ask what you want to ask. Of course, you know, we've seen where the questions that you ask leaves an impression on the hiring team. And I should say, I've seen where hiring managers have talked about a candidate afterwards based off of the questions that they ask in a good way. Like, that was a really thoughtful question. I liked the person's questions afterwards. So of course I gave them some great questions, but always think about, one, what are the things that are important to you when you're going into something new? Again, it could be a lateral move, a stretch project, whatever the case is, or a new opportunity. Two, think about it affecting you in what way. If you have kids, right? If you have a work schedule that sometimes will go later than you're able to stay. Like, these are things you want to know. So always plan ahead, plan with your questions, and that way you can not only do well on your interview, but you can also set yourself up for great success once you get into that role. So when you go into an interview,